Okay, so now we're going to take the blade off so we can get it sharpened and balanced. And I'll tell you what, for a 13-year-old blade, this one is in really good shape, but we'll find out if it's straight when we balance it. I happen to have an air impact driver, and this particular bolt here is a 9/16, so remove that. Alright, now when we take that off, try to keep the bolt, there's a couple of washers, a lock washer, keep that intact. And this thing too, so this just slips on there. There's a part that fits into the keyway here. And just don't lose that, okay? We'll take that off with that here. And now we're going to go and see if this blade is straight. And if it is, then we'll sharpen it. Otherwise, we'll replace it. Alright, so I'm going to try to show you this while I'm holding the camera in one hand and the blade in the other. This is my balancer and the thing I use to check to see if a blade is bent. These are magnets, and this thing slides in and out. So what I do is I take the blade, I put it on the cone, and then I pull the magnet forward, and the cone holds the blade in place, okay? So then what we'll do is we're going to put the blades like so and see if it drops. Oh, I got this in the way. So what that's telling us is that this side of the blade is heavier than the other side. So if you put it right in the middle again, let it go, it drops down. So when I go to sharpen this, it might work, well, it will work if I take off a little bit more off of this edge, take that weight off. But another thing we're going to check, I'm going to stand over sideways here. And I've got this thing, and I'm going to do is make that touch. I'll get very close to this blade. I'm going to swing it around to the other side and see if it's about the same. So yeah, it's very, very close. So this blade, oops, bring the camera back up. Is pretty straight. So we're not gonna replace it. We're gonna sharpen it. So what I usually do is to take the edge of the table here, my workbench. A big snowblower broke that off on me this past winter, so I have to replace that. But in the meantime, what I do is take a clamp, clamp the blade in place, maybe stick it out a little further. And now I put an X. This is the side of the blade that we've determined was a little bit heavier, so I might just try to take off a little bit extra weight on this side, see if that makes a big difference. Although this is only a lawnmower, so you know we don't have to be too close in our parameters. So what I like to use to sharpen a blade is an angle grinder, 4-inch or 4.5-inch angle grinder. I have a flapper disc on here, and just kind of run it along here and try to maintain an even edge. Okay. Turn it around to the other side. Now I'm not too concerned about this part up here. This part doesn't often get too dull. This is the part that theoretically cuts up the grass when it's in mulching mode. But the first 3 inches here, this is what actually is cutting the grass, and this is the part that gets dull. Alright, now, as I said before, this side with the X on it is the heavy side. So I'm going to put on a balancer one more time. If it's still heavy, I'll come back here and knock a little bit more off to lighten this side up. Alright, so this side is still a bit heavy, so I'm going to take a little bit more material off. Sometimes I might take it off up here, but I'm going to try to keep the profile of this blade as pure as possible. So I'll just take a little more off here to lighten this up. Alright, we'll go check it again. We'll just keep doing this until it gets fairly well balanced. Alright, so now that I've got the blade balanced again, sharp, and we know it's not bent or crooked, we're going to put it back on the machine. Now, one thing that we need to remember when we put this back on the machine is the grass side, that would be down here, needs to be pointed in the right direction. So make sure that the blade is not put on upside down, because then you're just whacking at it with the dull edge. I'm only saying this because I have had to fix lawnmowers but the people say, oh, it just doesn't cut like it used to, because whoever put the blade back on did not put it back on the right way. So again, and most of these blades when you buy them new actually will say grass side, so make sure that you get the right side down. So I'm going to set that in place. Now I'm not going to crank it on there real tight, I'm just going to snug it up. Alright, and then we're going to get the torque wrench out and make sure it's at the right specs. What I'm going to do is to put the C-clamp over here. And that allows the blade to push against that. I have here a torque wrench, and for these walk behind lawnmowers I usually like to put it at about 50 foot-pounds. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our socket and we're going to set this to 50 foot-pounds. Like so, and then tighten this up until we hear the click. There's the click. Alright, that's 50 foot-pounds. And we're done under here.